C++ is different than the other things we've done. So I was telling Andy, it's compiles an executable that runs directly on the operating system. So when you're running a C++ program in Visual Studio Code, you have to run it a little differently, which we went through that last week and we got started with it. Even though this is called getting started, we had another where we were installing the compiler. Let me find the examples here in just a second. There they are, tutorials. So let's look at that and look at some of the differences between Java and C++. They're very similar, as Andy was saying. That's our first one. Oh, so with C++, like Java, you have to declare your variables before they can be used. C++ does support constants like Java does, but it doesn't have a built-in pi. So if you're going to use pi for something, you have to make your own. That's a little different. It uses the same operators as Java does. You declare variables similarly, but they're not exactly the same. It is a statically typed language. So what does statically typed mean? What do you think, Andy? Statically typed means once it's an int, it's always an int. Where in Python, we can change it to whatever we want based on what we're doing.
You can go from integer to string and stuff like that.
Yeah, where that's a loosely typed. Java and C++ are static type, meaning once you create it as a double, it's a double. And in Java, we used final to create a constant. Well, in C++, we use const. If you remember way back in the robot days, that's what we used to use. Right? Const. So C++ is what the Arduino language is. I mean, this is it. This is the same as our robot. All right. And we all know we have input, process, output, but the input is a little different. So let's look at input with C++. A temperature converter, there it is. Okay, we have Ansonia on board. So we always include IOStream. Int main declares the main method, and what's in the main method is encapsulated by these little curly braces, which means, of course, we're going to have other methods later on, just like we did in the robot. This is how we declare the variables, just like we did in the robot, except instead of float, we use double. The reason we used float on Arduino is because the Arduino had very little memory. It didn't have enough room in the processor to store a double. A double has twice the precision. So if we can actually look that up. That was right up here. So a float has 4 bytes. It has 7 decimal places of precision. A double has 15 decimal places of precision. And typically you use double. Here's our standard printing things out. There's the output operator saying, go out, go out, go out. And we prompt, like we do in Java, it's just instead of system.println, system.out.println, we do std, which just means standard library. And then we're using the cout command, which means console out, probably. Standard output. It's linked to standard output. And we have standard input. So it asks for Fahrenheit, then we do our calculations. Well, this just looks just like Java, doesn't it? So a couple of the differences between Java and C++ is we have a different framework for it. We print things differently. We get different input, but much of the calculations and things are exactly the same. The other thing that's a little different is we have to go to terminal and run a build task and compile it with our G++ compiler. It's getting here. So we always want to compile with this guy. This is if we were doing just plain old C. So C is the original language. C++ added objects to it. And we're going to get to objects with this. Compile it, and that creates an executable file on our operating system. And if we type in, what's the name of this? Temperature. You just type in a little bit of it and then start tabbing. It'll find it for you. There it is. So we don't with this guy, we don't ever use the run buttons or any of those things because it doesn't have anything to run. It's a program that runs directly from the operating system. And there it is. So let's see, minus 40 is minus 40 Celsius. About that. So far, so good.
So far.
So those are some of the differences and some of the similarities. Now, the next one we go to is down below that. What are we doing? Favorite number. Well, favorite number is kind of the same thing, isn't it? Except, no, we're getting a number in, so I'm not even sure why I put that in there. Because that's no different than, oh, this is actually a tutorial that you do. This is a copy and paste. Okay, sorry. This is the one that you do. So 42 wages. This is just a little more complex, getting more information. So it's just showing again. Now here is an assignment we're going to work through. So let me stop my recording and